Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. You're listening to a Coffees with Toffees podcast. I'll be your host, Flubb, and this is the Brewmaster's Draft, a show where we talk about a little bit about Dota and a little bit about beer. As always, I am joined today with my ever-talented co-host, Kimbrell. How you doing today, Kimbrell?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good week. It's not Monday. It's actually Friday. I think we should just start doing all of our shows on Fridays because this is great. But yeah, I'm great. Dota's been good. I haven't played a whole lot recently, but it's been good. At least today it was. So I've got a long tangent I can go on about last weekend, but we'll let you go ahead and tell us how you've been, how Dota's been.
It's been good. It's been good, man. Honestly, real quick, I want to talk about what we just witnessed just a few moments ago. Me and Kimber were watching the game right beforehand, and if you guys don't want any spoilers for the Kiev tournament, so you might want to turn it off just for 5 minutes if you're like watching this not right after the game. But I'm gonna start spoiling right now. But that SG versus Team Secret game, oh my God, that was classic Dota right there. That is just some great stuff. Dude. I'm so glad that they made their way through this tournament.
I loved it. I like when they were going through the draft and everything, I was just like, dude, this is so aggressive, and Secret has more to lose than they do, right? And so they're just going to start throwing bodies and diving a little bit further, and Slark's going to get to a point where he's in, like, you can't really deal with him, and we saw him multiple times purge off, like deal with the two roars and so much. Oh, it was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, heart in your throat the entire time, just like watching him get away with. I don't know how many times I was like, oh, he's dead. Like, I said it to Kimbrell many times, and he would say the same thing to me. We're like, yeah, okay. He got caught out. He didn't realize the refresher coming out from Roar, I think Kimbrell said one time, and I was just so impressed by their play, and I was just like, oh my God, what is going on right now in this game? Because they just, every time the BKB plays, the ultimates that were used, just so great. Really, MVP was definitely Slark, and
oh yeah, there were some rocks that were dropped that I was like, oh no, this isn't great, and then they ended up turning it around, man. Yeah, it was the refresher and Beachmaster. I didn't realize he had it, and they double roared the Slark, and I was like, that dude is dead. And then he gets out with BKB, and it's all with like 200 HP left, and that's it. And you're just like, what? And then they throw the rock down, and everyone just is obliterated besides like one person.
Yep. Those games were just incredible. I can't even like restate it. Like, if you don't mind spoilers and you're watching right now, go back and at least watch that series. It's a super fun series to watch, and I mean, I think me and Kimber are both very aggressive players, so it's always fun to watch your own style of play being played out. And man, no one likes that really easy playing Dota where you just sit back and you're like, okay, this is a really important game. I don't want to risk anything. That's boring. These guys made a fan of mine for sure, and
oh yeah, dude.
I'm really enjoying this tournament so far.
They're the underdogs too, and they didn't win in the Swiss format. Oh, what the hell is it? The open
group stage.
The group stage. There we go. Mm-hmm. They didn't win. You know, they won one game versus OG, and that was it. And then Secret had been on a winning streak, and they're just like, you know what? Nah, forget your winning streak. We're gonna run at you with this last draft that we got. Oh, it was great.
It wasn't. The game wasn't like an upset in the way that, like, obviously it got to the end and they were mega or anything, but it was definitely one of the biggest upsets I've seen by a team that's not very well known at all, being able to just really focus on their play and really just worry about what the draft is in general, and just very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff.
For sure.
So, now that we've interjected that, I myself also have had some pretty cool things. I think I'm going to talk about it a little bit next week, more so next week. I've found a new way to play Clockwork. I haven't truly figured it out yet, so I'm going to kind of move a little bit further on there. But this is your week, man. So let's talk about the beers we're drinking first. Let's give the folks at home a little insight on what we're sipping on today. What are you drinking, man?
Okay, so in front of me I have two beers. Getting special, getting crazy. One of them is I was at the liquor store looking for beers, and I found one that I didn't have Last weekend, I had my bachelor party. Had a great time. I'm actually really happy we're doing this today because Monday I was still hungover. And the town we went to was the college town I kind of grew up in, and they had a brewing company start after I moved, and so I never got to try any of their stuff. And so I tried most of their beers the night that I was up there on Saturday, but I didn't try this one. It's an IPA, and you and I both aren't like big fans of IPAs, but I'll drink them. I don't mind them. There's some that I do like. But I did grab this one because it's the one I didn't try, and they're called Iron Monk, which is a badass name in my opinion. But it's out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and it's just called Iron Monk Brewing Company, and then the title of the beer is Payne County Imperial IPA. So it's yeah. And then the second one, while I was shopping for that one, I saw it was the name that grabbed me just because of the name of the man in charge. It's called Sticky Toffee Pudding Ale, and it sounds really interesting. It's by Wells Brewers. So yeah, and it's product of the United Kingdom, so it's out of the UK, but it smells really good. So I'm gonna definitely enjoy this one, I think. So.
Yeah, sticky toffee pudding definitely sounds like something from UK. Like that's all UK for sure. Okay, so nice. I am, even though you hit it on the nail, I'm not a big fan of IPAs. I'm still trying it out. This is actually the last Beachwood Brewing beer that I'm able to try. This is the last one in the box that Frozen gave me. It's a Citraholic. It's an Indian Pale Ale. It's really, I mean, obviously it's very citrusy, but it's still not too bad. It's got some smooth overtones in it, and it's 7.1% alcohol, so it's still got a little bit more. Obviously, since it's going to be an Indian Pale Ale, they're usually going to be a little bit stronger. So I really enjoy that, and it's a pint. So I'll be sipping on this today and enjoying myself. And right now, I'm not the too excited about it because it's a little too much citrus, but we'll see after I have one or two of them how it tastes to me. All right. So the most important thing, why everyone's here, we're going to talk about the draft that you have prepared for us, the flavors of Kiev. So take it away, my friend.
Okay, so I mean, I think we've seen plenty of drafts at Kiev, and I've kind of decided some of the heroes that I liked, and I just thought of a straightforward team fight team that I would love to play with. And I've been playing a lot of offlane recently, so I've been playing a lot of Magnus, and I've really enjoyed it. So he's kind of been the flavor of the month, and also he's kind of been my flavor. I'm starting out with Magnus. He was first ban material, and then now he's kind of not, and it's just back and forth. It depends on who the team's playing and such. But so I went with Magnus, CM, and Warlock, Timber, Spectre. Warlock and Timber, pardon me, aren't as popular right now, but we just saw both of those heroes in the last game. So, but yeah, I really like this 4 protect 1 essentially, but you still have the Spectre. Spectre is one of my all-time favorite carries. I think I say that about one of my heroes every week. But she's one of my all-time favorites. I spammed her for the longest time. She's one of those heroes that obviously it's a 4P1. However, you can go into the Urn or a Blade Mail or something like that. The Phase Boots Urn is a classic, and you just go into that build, and you're able to gank at almost any time once you have your 6 up, and you're able to get assist gold, or you're able to get kills, and then rotate to that lane and get that farm there. I love that hero. The main issue she has is she takes a little bit of time to come online, especially for that Radiance and following. But once she gets that Radiance, it's like a completely different game. There's been games where I'm like, holy crap, I'm struggling in Spectre. This game sucks. We're not doing anything. And then you get that Radiance, and the team fight completely turns around. So, but anyway, the main reason why I liked it is it's very wombo combo-y, but you don't have to waste all of your ults at once. You can do the Magnus into Crystal Maiden ult with the Warlock. What is that? The chains.
Fatal Bonds.
Fatal Bonds. Yeah, there we go. It's like that's a crap ton of damage, and then you got Timber coming in, just Timber chaining in, use it as nukes, using his ult on everybody. Like, it's just a lot of damage going on. Or you can throw down the Warlock ult and do the exact same thing. Or if you're like fully committed, you throw down everything and people die. And then Spectre just kind of picking off those people that are still alive. Or when she gets side radiance, she instead of just picking off, she can just add more to the team fight if needed. So I really liked it. It was something that I was just kind of looking at now. Not really guaranteed to get all these heroes, especially right now. But if I were to able to get my own like dream draft and not have, you know, people banning against me, this would definitely be something I would look at. But all 5 of these are heroes that have been played recently in the major, 3 of them being played quite often. So
that's funny. I was actually, one of my points against your draft was going to be, I don't know if you can get all of this, man.
Yeah, no. There's no way. So, like I said, it's a dream draft. If you're not able to get them, I do have some heroes you can kind of replace. Like I put, if Mag was banned, like in the first phase, you could always put the Timber off lane and pick up a mid, or you could keep the Timber mid and you could pick up like a Puck or an Enigma or Centaur off lane, or put the Puck mid and the Timber off lane or something like that. Something that kind of keeps, you know, the same general idea of sure, it's not RP and it's not grouping everyone together, but it's an AoE like lockdown type of spell.
Okay.
Like, you can't get better than that, I think.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then I put if you know, I thought if Crystal Maiden was banned, which I don't know if she's first phase ban material, but if she is banned, there's plenty of heroes I think you can go with. Like, sure, the other heroes don't provide that mana burst for everybody, but you can go with like a Disruptor, an AA, or a Jakiro or something like that. Jakiro actually, with a Magnus, like his Ice Path is it's a great stun. It's just lined up for everyone. It's not that hard to miss whenever everyone's RP'd or something. So you can just kind of same style. You know, everything's AoE. Throwing down an AoE ult. Sure, it's not as bursty as CM's is, but it still does, you know, a nice amount of damage. So
Right. Thing is, though, if you go, one of the reasons why I think Mag is so strong in your lineup is that because you have Crystal Maiden to give back that mana aura. Because I mean, the real problem where Magnus has now is mana problems. The more mana cost for the spammable spell that he has of Cleave just doesn't really work that well, and the Crystal Maiden kind of shores up that problem and makes him as strong as he once was. So I was actually thinking that, okay, if you don't get Mag and you don't get Crystal, then you go into like, or if you have the ability to get Mag and for some reason they pick up the Crystal as their first pick, maybe you could go in a situation where you take this as like a second pick lineup and you pick up a Timber and and you could do even Jakiro if you wanted to, but Timber and someone else besides the Crystal Maiden, because you want to have, like, you can't have the Puck first phase, right? Because then they'll tear you apart for picking that up, and they'll have instant stuns. They'll have a lot of different availability to keep you locked out, and the thing is, they can kind of do the same with Timber. So I do love the idea of your draft, but if you're gonna pick someone else besides the Magnus first phase, because Magnus is one of those heroes that's like, yeah, you can kind of pick against them. A lot of times people will pick up that Lifestealer or Ursa against him and really kind of force him out of lane. But he can also go into the jungle, and that's kind of the stronger point of Magnus, is that he has that quick flash farm.
Right.
So, whereas Puck can't do that, and Timber, you kind of can't do that either. So, interesting draft. You want to talk about the bans before I kind of say my counterpoints and figure out how to maybe disrupt your draft here?
Yeah, sure. I feel like Abaddon's really good against RP, or he's good against Warlock or something like that. As long as he's not involved in that, he's able to purge off, you know, plenty of stuff. He's a popular pick. Also, Abaddon offlane into a Spectre. I've played against that as Spectre. Sure, it's lower skill than what pros are, but dealing with an aggressive Abaddon is a pain in the ass. Now, with Crystal Maiden and Warlock, it might not be as hard, because Crystal Maiden, you know, can slow him or something like that, and Warlock has the healing to go into Spectre if needed. But I feel like he would be able to kind of take advantage of those two supports. I feel like they're a little squishy. But anyway, and then Juggernaut's I think one of the most picked heroes right now. And it's not because he's like super strong or anything, like it's just OP. It's just he's popular. He's like this. It's not. I wouldn't call him bland, but a lot of people call him this bland. Just go to carry for a lot of teams. And he deals with Timber pretty well. He deals with everyone decently. Obviously the RP. I was thinking about this. I was thinking, the RP and the Warlock rock. Those don't really matter. Like they go through BKB, so that could be an issue if they did pick Juggernaut. So I kind of just trying to figure out if I wanted to actually put him on the bans list, but I went ahead and did it anyway. Ursa against Spectre, Ursa against Timber, both. He's able to burst through any armor that Timber is going to have. He's able to burst through Spectre. And I don't think he really gets too kited around. Crystal Maiden's the only, with her frostbite might keep him, in a spot for just a couple seconds, but he's able to burst down just about anyone. So Silencer, for obvious reasons, you don't want to deal with that hero whenever you're going very team fighting. Then Clinkz, I feel like having that dude run around, once he gets Orchid or even Bloodthorn against Timber is like Bloodthorn and Deso versus Timber is just going to wreck him. That's a lot of farm for a Clinkz, but still. But that hero being able to pick off the 2 weak supports and the Spectre is an issue. So I put him in there. I've seen some teams pick him, especially EG. So yeah, those are my bans. There are some bans that I would consider since I didn't really think about. Haven't been on top of my drafting game, but I was thinking about different bans for that would kind of screw up Timber mid, and I was thinking like an OD or something like that would kind of mess with the Timber setting mid, or a Lina. Lina's, I would say, being able to provide all that magic damage instead of having to constantly right click to try to harass Timber out of lane, and instead just giving him this reactive armor or something. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that Lina in general isn't as strong versus Timber because once you get like level 3, you can kind of heal off of the creep waves. And having, if you go to lane with if you could grab the rune and you get a health pot delivered out to you, there's so much regen that you can have in general from that point. If they don't pick up like a Ricky or a Bounty Hunter to kill or even Monkey King, have those guys that really punish that usage of grabbing the health pot. But even if that does happen, you can still go to your shrine and have a lot of health regen there. So it's not really that. I don't really find that to be the problem. I kind of find the guys that kind of they don't care that you're around. So like Ursa is definitely a problem, and I think that that's a really good ban. And obviously Silencer is a really good ban as well, just because you're trying to go for this ultra team fight strategy. Right. So it makes a lot of sense. I actually kind of agree with you. I know that you're wishy-washy on the Jug at this point. I kind of think that that's actually one of your weaker bans. I think that you have plenty of ways to get through his spin, and if you're looking at like a hero that's going to be a problem, I feel like Lifestealer is actually going to be way bigger of a problem. Yeah. He shreds Timber, shreds Magnus. Yeah, it doesn't do that great versus Spectre, and I actually don't really think Ursa or Lifestealer is the best versus Spectre because you can kind of dive on the supports when you ult. But at the same time, I think that Ursa destroys the rest of your team, and like Crystal Maiden can't keep him locked down. Same thing with Warlock. Warlock can do his slow thing, but a lot of times he picks up a blink and can kind of get around that sometimes and just jump the Warlock instead. So there's definitely a lot of problems that you can have with those heroes. I just think that Jug is kind of one of those heroes that he's risky to have. He's good to have in lane, and he has a lot of potential because the heroes are so great. I just think that yeah, if you're gonna get out a hero that has that BKB, it's gonna be the Lifestealer. And Abaddon, that is a really good point about Abaddon. When you kind of talked it all out, I kind of thought in the beginning, like before talking to you, I was like, Abaddon is not really the strongest band because, yeah, it's a problem for Crystal Maiden, but Warlock is kind of one of my favorite things to have versus a Abaddon because you can't purge off Fatal Bonds. So you
Mhm.
Fatal Bonds him, and you Fatal Bonds just another hero, and like, okay, sure, Abaddon takes all the damage in the world. That guy's 100% dying. Um, and it's kind of a fun interaction, right? To generally to do that, and Warlock's ult doesn't really do damage. Like it does if the golem actually hits you, but it's a stun that doesn't deal damage, which is perfect to have versus a Abaddon in lane. But you are right. If you need to have the Crystal Maiden rotate, or you need to have the Crystal Maiden kind of stay in lane, she doesn't do anything versus Abaddon, and you're gonna have like an underleveled Warlock, an underleveled CM, and Spectre's not gonna do Jack versus Abaddon too. So I can see why you ban that out in general. I was thinking more of just because I hate the hero.
Well, that, and I was thinking you could have Crystal Maiden, pop in and out of the jungle or whatever, and kind of like what you said, Warlock and Spectre aren't going to do much versus Abaddon in lane. So it's mainly a lane ban. Now, outside of lanes, Abaddon's probably not as much of a problem, like you were mentioning. But it was mainly like a lane ban just for your Spectre, because like I mentioned, I've faced against that as a Spectre, and it's a pain in the ass when you don't have strong supports to kind of deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, go on.
Yeah, and I was thinking more of like going into like the Legion side of things. Legion could be a serious problem just because you
Yeah.
wave and just knocks everyone down to like no hit points. And kind of the same problems, right? You got the purge, you got the advantage, and one thing is that Abaddon can't really go to jungle as easily, whereas you can go to jungle way easier on a Legion commander and kind of punish you for all these different things. So that's what I was kind of thinking. And the thing is I kind of liked the idea of I kind of like the idea of your draft, but I was thinking for myself, what I would have done is got an Ursa instead of a Spectre, and actually maybe picked the Ursa a little bit earlier, because then you wouldn't have to worry about the Lifestealer. Like Lifestealer sucks versus Ursa. And if you ban out the Legion, you can have that give and take. Though your Spectre, it's really nice about Spectre. We saw EG do it in the past game yesterday, where they had Magnus and Spectre, and oh my god, it just helps her farm out so much.
That's kind of why, because I was trying to think of a draft, and I told you this one on, I think, Monday or something like that, and maybe we saw it during the group stage. I'm not sure, but I know later on in the week, like you're mentioning, EG ran it, and I saw that, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with those heroes because I feel like that's pretty strong. You're allowing that Spectre to farm the jungles like super fast, a lot faster than what she does. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree on that, and it's just kind of like a more of a drafter's favor than it is really a better style of play. Like I like yours and I like mine. I just, me, I'm hyper aggressive. So, all right. So another thing I wanted to ask you. So I see it possible to get the Magnus and the CM now, because we're getting to the different stages of, we're past the group stage, and there's not necessarily a certain way to ban versus every team, and certain teams are just banning out what's good and versus heroes. And let's say you were at the end in a championship, and you were trying to get there, you could technically get the Magnus and Crystal Maiden in the first round, but I don't think you get the Warlock in the second round. If you could get the Magnus and CM, and then they ban your second round hero of Warlock, who would you trade in for the Warlock?
It's a good question. I feel like you still want something that's able to push, right? Or at least push and something. You're not going to get something that can interrupt and AoE through BKB stun, and you already have the Magnus for that anyway. So, I'm not sure. Like, thinking about it, like there's definitely a few heroes like I mentioned Jakiro earlier to replace the CM or something like that, but with the CM, I feel like you need a stronger like upfront kind of a hero that can self heal or heal somebody else.
I'm surprised you haven't said it yet after the game we just watched. You didn't. You were loving on that Undying, man. I was
Dude,
expecting that like.
Yeah, Undying, absolutely. I mean, that's great. What I loved the most out of that was the Undying Sanking, and I was really wishing they would have kept that pressure on against the Timber with those two in lane, because that lane in general is just dumb with a Sanking Undying. But anyway, Undying's good. I just feel like you and I were talking about earlier before this I feel like he falls off like you do, and maybe if he gets an Ags and his talent tree helps him not fall off as much as he used to, but I definitely do feel like he falls off, and he doesn't provide that AoE like. And like I said, I mean, like I mentioned, you're not going to get that with anyone else if Warlock's banned. So
right.
So I don't know. I mean, there's a few. Like I said, there's a few like you go like a Shadow Shaman. Though we haven't seen him. I don't think we've seen him at all. You can go with a safe pick, like a Lion, but you need somebody. I guess Lion would be good with like a Blink.
See, I like personally on my side of things. I like going into maybe a Slaughter pick or going into the Undying. Just because it, like you said, it gives you another type of heal, gives you a very tanky hero up front, and that's kind of what you're missing, right? If you have a person like Spectre, who's just going to be complete shit in the beginning of the game, and just has very little potential of what they can really offer at that point until they really get items, you need someone that just pushes people out of lane, says, okay, we're going to guarantee Spectre farm, and that's kind of what Warlock can do, right? He has so much harassment potential and healing potential at the same time. That's similar to what you're looking for with a Undying, and they both have a very good team fight presence. So,
what about like a sorry to interrupt you. What about like a Winter Wyvern?
That'd be interesting.
Because you're able to set up, and that does go through BKB as long as you're targeting the BKB hero, correct? I feel like that's right.
Right, it is.
I mean, that's not the. Anyway, I just feel like that'd be okay. You're allowing setup, and if they do end up getting, say, the life stealer, like we mentioned, like that's you're able to target someone or target that life stealer and just kind of wipe them out. So anyway, continue with your point. Sorry.
No, I think that's a good idea. We can go down that path a little bit more. So if you also have the Splinter Blast if you set up Mag Ultimate, so there's always that. And even if you only get like a one-man Mag Ultimate, then they come to dive that guy, and you can Splinter Blast whoever is coming to help save the RP'd hero, and then obviously the RP'd hero gets Splinter Blast. So there's definitely a lot of thought with that. I think that the only thing that's risky about that is that the hero kind of has not as much damage as he once did, and he also just like his harassment potential is really strong, but he can get easily picked off, right? Whereas like Slaughter, yeah, you can technically get easily picked off, but you're moving around so fast, and they have to have a lot of lockdown to keep you there.
Another hero, Monkey King. Like, I know he has a terrible win rate for some reason at Kiev, but I mean that's another decent hero. Like, you're still providing that team fight. You're able to gank. You have that stun, though it's not as big of a stun as other heroes have. You still have that stun that does a solid amount of damage, and then his AoE thing is if you get a basher early on that hero, dealing with that, like if somebody RPs you and then you go and throw that out, and then you got Crystal Maiden throwing her ult down, like it's just kind of the team fight's almost lost.
Oh yeah.
So I think Monkey King would be a decent pick too.
Oh, definitely. And if you go down more of the poor man shield type build, trying to like push people out of lane instead of the classic like trying to gank in the beginning build with the jump, because it kind of seems like that's what's not working, is going that early jump build and trying to have that super fast rotation that he once did. They've nerfed that quite a bit, and they've more made him kind of like ogre now. He's like an ogre he doesn't thrive on the ability of existing in a lane, but he thrives on the ability of, okay, if you're gonna, it's like having a support Ursa or something, you know, just like, all right, I'm gonna get these stacks on you, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you if you even come near it to farm.
Yeah.
Cool, interesting. All right, so I've tried to debunk your draft, and it's unsuccessful. But what's the items that you're looking for on your team here? What are you going to be going for?
Okay, so on my notes I wrote down Midas for everyone. Back when group stage was still going on, like
Flavor of Kiev, right? I totally understand.
Right.
Put her on the Midas, and I mean, our brand is 5 Midas Gaming on YouTube, so I mean, we gotta promote it, right? You
know. So on my notes, I wrote down for Magnus off lane. Typically, what I've been building, and I haven't paid actually much attention, sadly, to the item builds. It's kind of hard to pay attention to item builds whenever you're watching just through Twitch, because they don't really. Sometimes they focus on it, sometimes they don't, and you're just watching the game. Like you're not really like Monday when I was hungover. You know, I'm laying in bed. I've got the TV turned on with Twitch going, and I'm just like, this is awesome. I'm not fully paying attention, you know, to the item builds and getting, you know, all into it. So anyway, I digress. Sorry. So with Magnus, I put PMS, Iron Talon, Arcanes, Blink, Force, and then if you need a Greaves, and this team doesn't have a Greaves carrier, you could go Greaves, because I don't think you really need the damage, because you got damage coming from everyone else, so you don't need that Echo Saber. In my opinion, you don't need it. Maybe later, you might need like an Echo Saber or some kind of damage, like an AC or something. But that's what I put for Magnus. For CM, Wards and Regen, I would get a Midas on CM, I think, or Warlock. I'm not sure. I feel like maybe Warlock would be better. Getting him the Ags, that'd be great. So I'd probably switch that. I probably would put the Midas on Warlock. Glimmer, mobile item on CM, so whether it's Force Staff or Blink, and then eventually BKB. She should never be that farmed. And if she is, you're probably going to win the game anyway. But and then Warlock, I put Lane Regen, Arcane Boots, Smoke, possibly Midas, Ags, your typical Warlock build. And then Timber, with him being mid, I put PMS, Arcanes, Bloodstone, a Hood, just casual, Pipe if you need it. And then from there, it kind of depends on what you want to do. I like Blink Dagger, especially with the aggressive team fight that you have. I feel like that's pretty good. But so it's like a Shivas or an Ags. Octarine's always good on that hero. It just kind of depends on what you need that game.
I also like Yules, man. Yules is fantastic.
Yeah, Yules is really good. And I actually hardly picked that item up unless I needed it for like a dispel, like to get rid of a silence or something like that. But playing with you actually kind of showed me that, like, hey, pick up a Yules on Timber and we'll be fine. It's like, oh, you left them, you throw down the freaking chain, or not the chain, the chakram, and it's like, oh shit, that's actually not bad. So I liked it. I liked when you. I think I was playing a Timber game with you when we first started this, and I asked, you're like, we need some form of lockdown, pick up a Yules, and I did, and I was like, this is great. So Yules on that hero is pretty good if you need it.
Well, it's also kind of like looking at your draft too. Like you might even need the Yules because you got the charge, which kind of has a long cooldown. Crystal Maiden has her like root thing, but that's not dependable.
You probably do need it, to be honest with you. You're right. I would probably get it instead of Blink. I would go Yules, and then after that you could go Blink or Shivas or something. So Hood, so PMS, Arcanes, Bloodstone, Hood, and then a Yules, or maybe Yules before Hood. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And then Spectre, I feel like Spectre just kind of depends game to game. Eventually, I mean, you do want that Radiance. If you're not able to get it, it's kind of a rough. It's not a rough game. You could go into like the Diffusal, Manta, just all mainly right click. But I put Regen, and then going to lane with their slippers. I've seen a lot of people doing this now because you're not able to get them in side shop. So going to lane with your slippers and then getting your finishing your PMS in the side shop, and then a wand. You need some kind of mana regen, so wand and an urn to help with that mana regen, and phase boots, and then you enter radiance, your manta, and then from there it's whether it's a diffusal or a heart or whatever you need. So
Yeah, definitely.
the only thing I'm not sure, like being, I guess you could call me a noob, whatever you want to call me, but I'm not sure how it. I know like having multiple items on the team can sometimes multiple of the same item can kind of sometimes like I don't know. Anyway, I have 3 PMSs. I know it doesn't affect anybody else. It affects just the hero. So, but I don't know if that's like I don't know. I just saw that. I was like 3 PMSs, huh? I don't know if that's really something.
I mean, we
really
beat 5 PMS gaming. That's fine, you know.
Right.
But PMSs aren't necessarily bad. I mean, they're always good, and you're picking a lot of melee, and that's something that to be looking out for. And actually, one of the things that I forgot to mention, a counterpoint that kind of just spawned on me, is Axe. Axe is kind of a problem for your team. Yes, you have the timber to deal with that, but you know, the Axe kind of does well versus Magnus and does pretty dang well versus Spectre. If you have like a aggro duo with an Axe, kind of give you a lot of potential problems with that. So maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to go Abaddon Axe in the beginning to ban out instead of just like say screw Lifestealer. I can just go to the jungle with Magnus if I need to. You know.
I like that. I think Axe would definitely be an issue. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, screw Lifestealer, screw and Juggernaut. Definitely the Axe. That would be an issue. Like you said, an aggro duel with like an Axe and whatever support you want, an Undying or a Lich or something. Good lord, I couldn't imagine doing that as a Spectre.
Yeah, and that's also something else too that you can open up. Like, yeah, you could ban out the Ursa and Silencer or whatever, but there's like certain things where you're basing this draft without knowing what your other opponent's going for, and you know you can kind of see if you know your opponents. They may go like 2 supports in the very beginning, or they may go like the support and definitely the offlane pick, like something guaranteed to go offlane. And if you ban out if you ban out both Abaddon and Axe and they pick their offlane, you'll know that you don't have to worry about certain other heroes like in the draft later on. Like maybe you know that they're not going to reveal and they're going to pick their support third. And with a Magnus Crystal Maiden, you don't necessarily need a Silencer to go to ban that out. So there's multiple options that you can go, and I just wanted to point that out to the viewers. Is like there's always a reactionary pick, and there's always a reactionary moment, but you have to be one step ahead of the enemy and always be thinking about what they're doing. And that's what Kimbrell's doing here. He's looking at all these different things, and that's what I try to do as well. And you don't necessarily want to just ban these heroes because they will eventually screw over your team, because you can kind of reveal too much by banning them out, and they can pick other heroes that work in a similar fashion. Not quite as good, but in a similar fashion.
Another idea that you mentioned earlier, instead of Spectre, Ursa. Obviously, you don't have the global presence that you did with Spectre and all that stuff. However, I feel like Ursa fits pretty well because he's able to. It's 2 different types of play styles. Spectre, you're kind of protecting the Spectre, and you're relying on your other 4 heroes to provide that team fight and cause chaos around the map while Spectre's farming up and gets her Radiance, and she's able to ult in and get assist gold and all that stuff. Well, with Ursa, he's able to, after a certain point, just kind of roll with his crew. Like, it doesn't, you know, he just bursts people down. So then I feel like Ursa versus an Axe isn't as bad.
No.
And then you don't have that. So that's, you know, oh, dude, you can change that up completely. If you get rid of the Spectre and you put an Ursa in there, you don't have to ban Ursa, obviously. Abaddon, maybe. Maybe not, because it's not really that big of a deal anymore, especially in lane, and that was the main reason why I was banning him. Yeah, I think I like Ursa more than Spectre, to be honest with you. With my type of play style, I think I like Ursa more. I just don't play that hero very often.
Yeah, he's a fun hero, man. I played him last night in an in-house, and I'm on an Ursa kick. I feel like I'm always suggesting Ursa just because I love the bear so much. He's awesome, but he offers something in a game that's so cool. I love the idea of, okay, if you come and touch me, I'm gonna tear you apart. Like, if you get anywhere near me.
Right.
That's just it's a lot of fun to play that.
See, look, you've been on an Ursa kick. I've been on a Magnus kick. We'll just, oh man.
Yeah, exactly. It'll all work out if we play together like that. Okay, so all right, so we got the counterpoints out. We got items and bans and picks. Is there anything else about your draft that you kind of have been seeing as we're like looking through these heroes that you kind of want to add on to any possibility, like item wise or hero wise?
I don't think so. Really, I mean, like I said, I think I would just replace the Spectre with an Ursa if I decided I wanted to be more aggressive, and I decided, look at their drafts. Kind of going to screw over a Spectre. Maybe we pick something else to go with this, something that can be a little more aggressive and deal with this certain hero, whether it's an axe or whatever they pick. Mm-hmm. I think you go Ursa instead. I mean, so that's the issue, though, right? That's the issue with a draft like this is, so you have to decide. I can ban Ursa, third ban or whatever. Sorry. I can ban Ursa, or I can save Ursa and then last pick the Spectre and ban the Ursa last instead of Clinkz. And then at that point, so you have to just kind of have to decide, like, or we can save the Ursa. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I just kind of sidetracked. But yeah, you can save the Ursa for like the last ban just in case you want to pick it up. But then you're kind of leaving it open if they want to pick it up, and then you're picking Spectre's kind of puts you in not a terrible situation, but it's not a great situation with Ursa because he's able to just burst her down if she's caught out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I don't think there's much. The Juggernaut ban is something, like you mentioned, it's definitely one of the weaker ones. I was looking at kind of popular heroes right now and what heroes I would want to ban, and Juggernaut popped up and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be pretty good. He's able to kill a Timbersaw with his ult or something like that, or spin through all that. But with spin, you don't really want to. You can be aggressive with it. It's not like a lifestealer though, where you're able to rage and just start hitting people, because when you're hitting people during spin, like there's a weird reaction with it, and it's just not as good. So I feel like when you're spinning to get out of situations more than you are to get into situations. With lifestealer, it's kind of the opposite, and maybe it's just because of what we've seen in the last few days. But that's just kind of my take on that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to take your draft and kind of take it into a step into my direction, if you don't mind. I think when I was asking you earlier about like what heroes you would pick, if you kind of answered yourself, and you said, okay, if I couldn't get Mag, I'd go for these heroes like Puck or all these different situations. And I didn't even think about Puck, and that's a really good way to play. I actually think about like your draft, and I see 3 of your heroes, and it's actually has 3 of the heroes that I wanted to run in a draft lately. So I think I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna say something of my own that's based on your draft here. So I have an idea, and I got it from Faceless, and I don't know if you've watched this game, but did you see the game with Warlock and Furion or Nature's Prophet in that game?
Was it today?
It was
when they.
I think it was in the group stages.
In the BTNC? Okay. I might have, dude. I watched so much Dota, I don't even know who was what. Like, I don't even know like which drafts belonged to which team for the most part, but I probably saw it.
It was an incredible draft, and I actually really like this idea. If you go into grabbing a Nature's Prophet and grabbing someone else instead of Crystal Maiden, going for someone that can kind of be more tanky. And I kind of like the idea of maybe going into like an Elder Titan in this situation, even though he's like not really popular right now, and he kind of has, for good reason, he kind of has some bad situations for him. I like your whole team fight style, and I like to like put even more into it. And I'm looking at your draft, and I'm thinking, okay, what happens if you go in Elder Titan, Nature's Prophet? You get the Spirit out there, lowers everyone's magic resistance. You got Spectre can haunt on top of chains, on top of the ultimate from Nature's Prophet. Just wreck everyone with a Timbersaw. Like, you can have Fatal Bonds with Timbersaw and a Nature's Prophet ultimate, and just, oh my god, that is so much magic damage. And
yes. Okay, when you started talking about the Fatal Bonds with the Elder Titan, I was like, I know exactly what he's talking about. I know what game he's talking about, because like you watch like 3 people lose all of their health because of the Fatal Bonds and the Nature's Prophet. Oh, it was so dirty.
Yeah, exactly. It was incredible. I can't like get over that game. It was one of my favorite games I've ever watched to Dota. I was like, oh my god, this is more damage than if they had Zeus. If they had Zeus and Warlock, it wouldn't have done as much damage as Nature's Prophet because of the bounces and how he just planned it out perfectly.
Right.
This is like, and it's an idea of Kiev. So like, I like how flexible the Warlock Timber Spectre, I feel like, is like the key of your draft. Like, I know Magnus and CM are the ones that you're wanting to pick up first because they're generally really good heroes and they offer a lot to the heroes that already exist. But damn, dude, like Warlock, Timber, and Spectre, I feel like are your core here, or at least Warlock and Timber. Like those are your bread and butter for this team for sure.
Right. I mean, because if you get Fatal Bonds on 3 or 4 of those heroes and Timber does what Timber does, those heroes are going to take a lot of damage. And then I do like what you're saying with the Elder Titan. Not only are you providing more damage, you're also you're providing the passive or whatever, right? And then you got the Nature's Prophet who ults. That's really dumb.
Yep.
And you just go Ags Refresher, and you kill all 5 heroes with Nature's Prophet's ult, and then just walk down the mid lane with these giant hero trees and just win. That's what happens.
Yep, I like to take Team Faceless and EG's ideas and just like kind of smash them together, you know. But yeah, so that was my idea for it. Well, I think we're done for today. Let's rate our beers though. We gotta give an idea. Did you get to both of the beers, or you just get to one?
I got to both of them, and the Sticky Toffee Pudding Ale, which if you turn it over, I didn't see this earlier. It says based on the Great British Pudding. So,
yeah, makes sense.
it was really good. It was not as strong of like a toffee taste that I thought would be there. So I was expecting it to be like too sweet, but it really wasn't. It wasn't that sweet at all. Like I was expecting like those root beers that you find like they're really sweet. That's what I was expecting, but it really wasn't. And it was really good. I would give it like a 4 or 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Wow. I'm gonna finish all of the rest of them tonight probably. The other one, definitely not as good as the other beers I had when I was celebrating my bachelor party. It's one of those that it's not terrible, but you kind of have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of brace yourself.
Yeah.
When you drink it, like that swallow, when you swallow it, you're just kind of like, it was a tough swallow. Like I had to force myself to do that. That sounds terrible, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't like the worst beer I've ever had. So I would give it I would probably give it a 3, I think, out of 5. It's not the best IPA I've ever had. So, but their other beers are really good. They actually had a milk stout, which you had last week, and that was damn good. But anyway,
oh yeah.
So I would give the toffee pudding a 4 out of 5 thunderclaps, and the Iron Monk IPA I would give it. What did I say?
You said
I give it a 3. Yeah, I'd give it a 3. Maybe a 2.5. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's because of the IPA, man. Because I do not like IPAs, and I'm trying to drink this one. And like even someone like sent something out on Twitter to me this week, and they're like, "Man, we should get drunker." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of hard to get drunk at 4 in the afternoon."
Right.
But
I'm doing this like later thing.
Right. So yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know if I should get that drunk while I'm doing this. And it's like we're talking about drafts here, and you have to be like on your game when you're doing.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, we could just start another one and call it Brewmasters Just Get Crazy Drunk. We just say play Dota and get drunk. I don't know. Anyway,
I feel like those those drafts would end up being like Meepo and Techies and just like be like awful.
Oh, okay. This is way off topic. I played Magnus when we had a techies on our team, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Classic combo. Classic
Oh,
combo.
dude.
Did you get a 5-man RP with a skewer into mines or something?
No, I definitely did not. But I was playing against a troll and an Omni Knight in lane, and they were having such a hard time because there was just mines spotted all throughout the jungle, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna move you this way, and you're gonna take so much damage, and you're dead. That's it.
Yep.
Anyway, how was your IPA that you have?
Well, it was an IPA, so I am not the biggest fan. I do like Beachwood, and so far all their beers have been pretty outstanding for what they are. I gotta say though, this is probably my least favorite Beachwood beer, just because I'm not a fan of IPAs in general, and just like it tastes like you kind of bit into a lemon, but like beer style, which I love lemons, so like that kind of has a good quality, but not for a beer. I don't know. It feels a little bit off for that.
Right.
So I gotta say probably a 2 at this point. Like I don't want to give it a 1.5. It may be that low for me because like I only had one beer. I was planning on drinking this whole thing. I had one beer. Like there's no way I can drink this whole liter. It is just it's not my style. For the next person, you know, if you guys like IPAs, this probably has a good kick to it, but it's all right.
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is about IPAs. Like I think was it last week I had the IPA as well. I had like a Wicked Ram from Shinerbrock one of these weeks, and that's my favorite IPA I can go to because it's like I know I'm not going to hate myself when I take a drink of it. I don't have to force it down. I guess I'm more of like the brown ale, like a smoother type of where it's not gonna I don't know, taste disgusting when I'm swallowing it. I can drink it and I can sit here and drink it all night. Like I prefer those. So.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's probably just so much hops. Like it feels like you know like when you have it's like anything, you know, if you have a really strong drink, in my opinion, like I like strong drinks, don't get me wrong, because you're getting more alcohol in it, but I don't like enjoy tasting it. Like I enjoy the strong drink because it's like, okay, I'm gonna get more alcohol when I go to, I'm paying for less alcohol, right? I'm getting more alcohol for the same price. And like that's what the benefit of a strong drink is. But in general, I feel like an IPA is like not that. I don't know. Like it's never really that much more alcohol percentage. It's a little bit more, but it's not the best, and it's just like feels like it's like I'm punishing my tongue. I'm just not a fan.
Young Terms likes IPAs, and he said that in the chat that he likes them, or he loves them. Sorry.
Yeah.
You should definitely try this one. It's I don't know if you'll get it where you're at, wherever you live. It's a local one called Iron Monk Payne County Imperial IPA. It's okay.
Honestly, Iron Monk, its name is awesome. So
right. Yeah,
that would be amazing. But like if I had to name something, Iron Monk is something like down my list because like I play Pathfinder or D&D in general. So like I am the geekiest of the geek, so I got to try the thing that calls something a monk, or you know, just for my love of Dota and love of D&D. So yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the show, man. Is there anything else you want to say real quick?
Oh, I'm just excited it's the weekend. I hope everyone else has a great weekend. I am alone.
You're alone. Playing a lot of Dota then, huh?
Going right. Fiance's going out of town for a bachelorette party, like I did last week for my bachelor's party, and I am alone with my computer and Dota. Nice. And I am excited. As lame as that might sound to some other people, I am pumped.
Hey, I don't think you're gonna ever hear a Dota person say it's unexciting to play Dota all the time.
Right.
So I think you're in the right crowd. All right, man. Well, we have to close out the show. Sorry, guys. To help out, you can always subscribe or like any of our videos. You can subscribe to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Toffees_Dota2. You can go to our YouTube channel, 5 Gaming. If you want to listen to a podcast instead of a VOD, you can always find them on Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud. You can always give to our Patreon if you're feeling extra generous at www.patreon.com/Toffees. If you have any questions for me, Toffees, or Kimbrell, you can always follow Toffees at Toffees TV. You can follow me at my Twitter at FlubbDota. and you can follow Kimbrell at @skimbrell_. If you have any questions for me in general, if you have any casting opportunities that you want me to cast, or just anything that you want to talk to me about, send me an email at crazyflubb@gmail.com. All right, everyone. I'm glad that you were able to share brew with us today, and I hope to catch you guys this weekend for the Flubb update. And we may actually, me and Kimbrell kind of did it impromptu this week on Fridays, but we may continue to do it on Fridays. So look out for me on my Twitter to tell you when we're going to switch up the days or not. All right. Well, you guys have a good week. Weekend. I'll catch you Sunday. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.